everyone, I'm Eileen Shum, a sophomore attending Manhasset High School.
Hi guys, my name is Tang. I'm a sophomore attending Manhasset High School.
Hello everyone, my name is Iris Liu. I'm also a sophomore attending Manhasset High School.
祝大家新年快乐 Happy Lunar New Year!
We're very happy that you can join us tonight to learn how to make some delicious and beautiful flower buns. Tom is going to bring in a basket full of beautiful, colorful buns, and he's going to explain to us why we make them and what we're going to do today.
Hi Iris, hi Eileen.
Hi.
Is it yours?
Oh, I know this word. It means fu in Chinese, and it's luck.
These flower buns are not only edible, but they're very pretty.
What shapes do they come in?
They come in shapes like animals and plants.
What celebrations are they used for?
They're used in big celebrations like a marriage or a childbirth. These flower buns symbolizes happiness and luckiness.
That's great, Tom. Thank you for the explanation. So for today's event, we're going to be making 2 flower buns in total. In order to make them first, we will have to make the dough. So this is one of the flower buns that we're making. The first ingredient that we have are 500 grams of flour, 250 grams of water, and also 5 grams of yeast. Make sure you have something like chopsticks or fork to stir the mixture with. Alright, so first step, you want to have your flour weighted and in a bowl. So just give you a quick second to do that. Remember, it's 500 grams. It's a lot more than what you actually need, but in order to make sure that we have enough, and maybe you want to make some excess, you'll just be making some extra dough.
Yes, and 250 grams of water is more than the instruction, but this does require to be a little bit more wet, which is why we added a bit more water.
Yes. First step, you poured 5 grams of yeast into your 500 grams of flour.
Next, you pour in 250 grams of water very slowly. That is key to this. Stir. Yeah. Make sure to stir while pouring.
Yes. This step is to prevent from any clumps forming and make sure that your dough is as smooth as it can be. If anyone has any questions, you can just raise your hand and yes, we'll call on you if you tell me the name. You can do a little faster than that. Okay, make sure when you're stirring that you get the sides and you don't spill any out. Okay, once the water is on the bowl, you just need to quickly mix it so that it starts forming this clump shape. And Tom? Yes, Tom is our dough maker. He's the strongest one.
So you make these dough after you see them in a consistent shape. You don't have to form the ball with the chopstick because that will be usually hard. After you see a general shape like flour flakes.
You spilled some, so I'll go get a napkin.
You can just start kneading them in the bowl. Don't worry if your hands get sticky the first time because as you make it, it will come out your hand. So you just want to press these flowers in, like how you're making a sandcastle. You want to make sure that they all stick in a ball. When you make these, try to incorporate the excess flour that's on the side of the bowl because, okay, don't spill any flowers. Try to incorporate them, put them on the top, just slowly press them in.
Okay, so this is a long process. And while we make this dough, why don't we have Eileen to introduce some other flower buns that we'll not make today, but are just as beautiful and elegant. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Eileen. Over here you can see the variety of colors on these buns. We have blue, pink, red, yellow, etc., etc. These colors are very important, or else you have a plain dough color like yellow, blandish. So which is why we incorporate so much color to add more brightness and light into the room. As you can see, there are a lot of details on these buns. Like this dragon, it's not just an eye. We have layers of the eyeball, the eyebrow, etc., etc. It's all very, very detailed, all handmade. You noticed that the details also include lines, patterns. For example, over here as well with our flower bun, this is our line bun. This is our flower bun. On the top, you can see our pattern.
Okay, so back to the dough board.
Yes, so after your dough has somewhat, it's in a large shape, you can just pour it out onto, as you can see, this plastic dough board that we have, and or maybe it's silicone. And we just combine it on the board because the bowl prevents your hand from really reaching in and be able to push on it. So you can see it comes halfway through it. Okay. And if you feel like your dough is anyway too dry,
If it's too dry, you can always add more water to it. Please customize this as needed because our dough is not the same as your dough. Your dough may be too dry, our dough may be too wet. So it all depends on your specific dough.
yes, I forgot to mention this, but different flour have different consistencies, and depending on the type of flour that you have, you may require more water or less water. So just add as you need.
So as you can see, after the flour is wet, it sticks more easily.
And I do think that there's 3 policies to when making your dough. The first is that your cutting board, or your dough board, must be completely clean after you make it. So everything should be sticking on the main piece of dough. There shouldn't be any flour falling out. If there is, that means you probably haven't completed it, and you should just go back to it and combine it even more. The second is that your hands should be clean. Your hands flour should be sticking on the dough during the process. And third is that your bowl should also be clean. You can just roll it around after you're done. Make sure you don't waste anything.
There actually is quite a history to these flower buns. These flower buns are used to express sacrifices to ancestors, the blessings of the elders, and to the yearning of a better life for the younger generations. So not only are they beautiful and edible, but there's quite a lot of history to them as well. And this is what we will be making. These are fish shapes. It is what Tom is currently kneading the dough into. Later, Iris and I will explain the process and steps on how to make this beautiful shape.
So as you can see, the dough ball is slowly starting to form a ball. After this, just use a grab and push motion to make sure it's smooth.
Yes, I believe many people, some people might have a machine or maybe someone at home to help them with this process. But since we don't know if everyone has a special equipment to help make the dough, we'll just be making it by hand. So it'll take a little slower. Thanks, Tom.
No problem.
Yes, this is quite a long process, and we do need a handyman to do this.
Yeah, but it's coming along pretty well. As you can see, the cutting board is almost clean. And, his hand doesn't seem to be that bad.
So after kneading for a while, you can just
we'll just be having some traditional Chinese music to play in the back, so that it's not all total silence. Hope you guys are having fun making your own dough at home.
Okay. So after they form in a dough shape, try to make them into a.
I'll help you a little. I think it's still a little hard right now, so maybe we should just. I'm just going to take over some straw and knead it a while. Maybe Eileen will join in later as well.
So this is usually.
No, so if you separate it though and knead it with 2 different people, the combination will be right. Yeah, it will be different for each piece of dough. That's why we have to return it. Oh, that's what you meant. It's okay. I only started doing it. I don't think I'm that weak yet.
So these doughs, you usually make it with your family. That's why you can take turns to make it if you're tired.
Yeah. They
It's
do
a family
require
event.
quite a lot of energy.
Right. Thanks, Tom. We know that the dough is really hard. Thank you for your hard work.
There are many different methods of kneading the dough. Like before, you saw Iris using 2 hands. I like using 1 hand better.
We're not really professional, so if you have a preferred way of kneading your dough, it's by machine, by hand, whichever way. Whatever you prefer, you can just go ahead and do that.
After kneading for a while, you usually want to let the dough rest. But since right now this is live, we don't have time, so I'll just be chopping. Actually, I don't want to steal Iris's job, so I don't know the exact measurements.
Okay. So the first step we'll be doing, so we'll just make the dough like that. It's still a little hard right now, but after we let it rise a little bit more, it's going to become a little softer. The first step you should be doing, if Eileen could please come here, is that we're going to take your weight. Make sure to clean out the napkin beforehand. We're going to weigh out 150 grams. That's everything you need for the fish. So the rest are all for your flour and then your other creations as well, if you feel like it. And 150. There we go. So now that you have got your dough, just gonna put my glasses on.
For the rest of the dough, you want to put the dough in a plastic wrap so it doesn't harden.
Yes, thank you, Tom. I almost forgot about that part.
Put it in here, put it on the side, and just let it.
Yes, make sure you seal it well. Now that you've got your 150 grams of dough, you just want to make this into a ball.
Basically a smaller form of the previous.
Yeah. You can roll it into a ball now. Okay. So there are some large gaps in here. If you have any of these large gaps, you can just take some water and you can just seal it back on using your finger. Think about it, water is kind of like glue and those kind of like Play-Doh, so you can just seal it back on. That way, when you're making the fishes later, it doesn't just suddenly come apart.
Yes, think of this piece of dough as like a Play-Doh. You can always, if you mess up, just restart, add water as the glue, like I said before. Yep. So don't be afraid to make mistakes, as we all do.
Wait a second. Transfer. Right. So now you got your 150 grams of dough. You want to take your rolling stick and you want to roll it to a circle of diameter of 16 to 18 centimeters. We have a measurement on the center of the board.
If you don't have a type of board like we do, you can always just use a ruler, very simple, and just measure about 16 inches.
Yes, the diameter are the two far sides of the circle that are the largest. Before you do that, you can just press the circle into flatter shape so you make sure it's even. Different people have different ways of rolling dough as well. I just like to hold the dough with one hand and then use the other hand to push the stick into the dough.
This will create a circular shape.
Yes. And remember, if you mess up with the circular shape, you can just roll it back up and try again. Or you can take some excess dough from the pile that we have over there because you feel like it's already dried up. Since we have extra dough, you can do that.
As you can see, the dough is quite thick right now, so we try to stretch it to make it a bit thinner.
You can also just use your two hands to make it quicker, but with this way, you do have to make sure that everything's even and well.
If there are any questions, just type them in the chat and we'll have Tom to answer them. He'll be looking at the chat to answer any questions, since this is pretty difficult to make. Yes. Iris is hard at work trying to make this dough into circular shape.
Yeah, thanks, Eileen. It's pretty good to have someone to help you when you're making this because, you know, you're both having fun and you also have extra manpower to make the dough.
We recommend making this with family as it is more fun. You can just play around with the dough. It's very festive.
Okay, so I'm just gonna measure this.
So I want to make it, we said that it's going to be 16 to 18 centimeters, but I want to make it 17 centimeters, so it's right in the middle. It doesn't have that big of a difference unless you just, you prefer the fish pile to be slightly smaller.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. We have a question from the audience.
Oh yes, can Tom please read it for us?
Ms. Loria was asking, how many of these buns does a family typically make for the Lunar New Year?
So typically for these buns, you can make as many as you want. There's no limitation because it's a family event. If you have 5 members in a family, per se, you can make 10. Everyone can have 2. Somebody doesn't like to eat bread, you can make 8. It doesn't really matter. There's no typical traditional number of this.
So as you can see here, these are like the standard sizes. They're very different shapes, so different shapes have different sizes. Depends on what shape and design you make, you can therefore DIY how many buns you want to make.
Yes, I will say though that usually guessing that people don't just make one because these are for big celebrations, weddings, birthdays. If you show up with only one bun, I don't think that's enough for anyone to eat.
Okay.
All right. Yes, you will. For that question,
You have to.
What was the question?
Question
so
out.
I'll read the question. So the question is, will you share those buns with your friends and families as gifts?
Oh yes, of course. It is tradition to either during celebrations like weddings and a new birth of a child, as these are big celebrations, you can send them to relatives, friends, etc., etc.
Yep.
Okay, so we have our dough right now, and next step, what I want you to do is to grab a bowl that's either from 16 to 18 inches. I want you to
Centimeters.
yes, centimeters, don't put inches. And I want you to measure well with a ruler, with a dough board, and to put it on the dough. What you want to do is you just want to push down hard. Thanks, Eileen.
You can twist it. I find it's easier method is to turn it to get the excess dough off.
Okay. Yeah. Oh god, that's beautiful. Thank you. I usually never get it all that clean. I usually have to use a knife. But I kind of can see the differences between the and me. Now you have a nice circular, dough. And you can just put the scrap back into the pile and seal it back up again. Okay. So the next step is you want to take your chopstick or any cylinder shape, I suppose. You want to separate the dough into 6 pieces in total. 6 has a lucky meaning in Chinese, which is, just lucky. It means that everything's going to go well for your new year. And that's why we're making 6 of these fishes. So you just press down like this, and this. There we go. And then make sure that there has a can. Okay. These stands are used for guidance of separating your fishes.
Next, we will cut the outline, but make sure to keep the center uncut as we will later be rolling it in the example here. We'll be making the fish eye, so make sure to not cut to the center, but instead cut to maybe about 3 to 4 centimeters beforehand.
Yes. The reason why you don't want to cut it completely is because the fishes are joined by the head. So you don't want to separate them. That's just, well, it's not unlucky, but it's not as meaningful as like all 6 fishes joined together.
As you can see, I'm now cutting. You might need to go through it with the knife maybe twice or 3 times as the dough is quite sticky. Please be careful. This is a knife, so make sure you do not cut your hands.
And when you're passing the knife to someone else, remember to pass it with the handle going towards them. Okay, there we go. Now that your dough is all separated, and yes, Tom, do you have another
So
question?
one of the other questions is that, let me just read it out loud. What does the fish mean in Chinese culture? So there's a Chinese saying that's called 年年有余. So this means that every year there's fish. That's the direct translation, but this means luckiness, happiness,
Joyfulness,
joyfulness.
etc.
Also, it's kind of, I suppose, a pun, because fish in Chinese also sounds like access. So the meaning is that every year you have access food, meaning that you're wealthy and your family's well fed.
Another meaning can be the fish usually means goldfish. So that means there's wealth coming in.
Yes, because they're like money.
So as we can see, Iris is just going through with the knife again to make sure that the pieces are separated.
Okay, so after you separated your dough, the next step is to take your knife, and I want you to carefully do this part. You want to slice just next to the cutting line. This one isn't going to the center either. Make sure it's like almost exact length as your other cutting. Just like this. Make sure to not go too fast because you can stretch out the dough. This is the part where we roll the dough into the fish's eyes.
Yes, later we'll be using these pieces and we'll be rolling them into the center. As the fish's eyes, as clarified before, it means wealth and happiness.
Okay, and then you just do this.
And also, do not worry if you cut too big or too small. You can always just use water, kind of seal the dough back up, and then recut it. it wouldn't make a difference. You wouldn't even realize.
Yeah. Why,
Thanks, Tom. As we can see, symmetry is very important. If you look, if you use a chopstick, these lines will all be symmetrical to each other.
That's right. All right. One more thing. Sorry.
Thank you, Iris. And next we'll be rolling the eyes of the fish. So you may need to use a knife here again, just in case the dough is too sticky. For example, here, this one's actually really good.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Iris. We just roll it up with both of our fingers. Be gentle because you may ruin the dough here. After you roll it, you just kind of
Place it right here.
yes. Make sure to be careful because these are very delicate.
And depending your preference, you can just snap off some of the dough if you think the eye is too big. I want to make the eyes as even as they can, so I just snipped off some of it right there.
Tom, are there any questions in the chat?
No, there's not. Not as no.
You can. How about you tell us some, fun facts about the New Year?
So during the New Year, such as the Lunar New Year, Chinese families usually gather together, and then we eat a big dinner.
Yes, and we usually dress in red, as that means luck in Chinese. We actually give out red envelopes as well. Usually kids look forward to this to the most because they get money every year. I'm sure both of you are very excited for Chinese New Year. It is this upcoming Friday. We're very excited.
Indeed, we are. Okay. Now that these pies are finished and ready in the middle.
So another question that somebody asked is, what does the dragon symbolize in Chinese culture? So the dragon in the Chinese culture symbolizes powerfulness. So as you can see, the dragon, it's very, if you look at a Chinese dragon, you realize that it has a lot of different animal parts, such as the deer horn and the fish skin. It just means that the dragon is very powerful to have a lot of characteristics. And for Chinese history, the king always wears a robe that have the dragon.
Okay,
pattern.
so I would just interrupt Tom for 1 second. The next step, after you roll the eyes, is to make the tail part. So you can see right here, goldfishes usually, whether it's in cartoons or culture, they have 3 tails. And what you want to do is you want to take your knife and cut maybe 1/3 portion of the piece of dough. You want to separate the end into 3 even pieces. You just go like this. Okay, Tom, you can continue now. Sorry for interrupting you.
So as I said before, dragons means powerfulness. The kings always wear a dragon pattern on the robe, which symbolizes the power. And dragon is always, if you see a picture in China of animals, you'll realize that either the dragon is in the middle or the dragon will be the biggest because it symbolizes that is the king of the animals. And that's it. Oh, we have another question. The coming Lunar New Year is the ox year. What does the ox symbolize in the Chinese culture? So there might be a question about why is there a different animal each year? It just means that there's 12 different animals in the Chinese New Year.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a second again. I'll get back to you. The next step is to make some dents with the fork. You want to take a size, don't take a fork that's as large as your face. And you're going to take it and you're going to press it hard into each section of the tail. Here, I'll And get another fork that's the same size. You want to make the dent really strong because after you cook it, it's going to go away. It's going to become a little lighter. And these are the skills for the fish. Okay, sorry for interrupting, Tom. You may continue.
Fine. Okay, back to the Ox New Year. So the ox in China still means powerful, but it's a different meaning of powerful rather than the dragon. The dragon means powerful as in strong and power. And then the ox means powerful as in unstoppable power.
Hardworking.
Hardworking,
Yeah,
unstoppable. So yeah, that's what the ox means.
Back to the fish. One tip I have for you is to press down on the fork and then pull back. This minimizes the stickiness to the fork because this dough is pretty sticky. So I recommend to push really hard and then slide it back to get the fork easily slid out.
Yes, thank you, Eileen. Tom, do you remember the story of the 12 zodiac animals?
Yeah, the 12 zodiac animals. That is the reason why there's a different animal for each New Year, such as the bull, and the last year was the monkey, I think.
Last year
Oh,
was
last
the
year was the
mouse.
rat, the mouse.
Yeah.
My bad. But yeah, so every year there will be a new animal, and then it's the 12 zodiacs.
All right, so Tom, I'm sorry to interrupt you again. You have to go down this step. The next step after you make the four indentations is to push it together with chopsticks. I'm just separating the tail pieces yet again, and you're going to take these chopsticks and you're going to pinch them. You see at the end of the pattern, you're going to push them together. Usually, if you've done the previous steps right, you do not need to worry about the dough breaking because there should be an adequate moisture in that. It has enough moisture to form this shape, but
Yes, and make sure to squeeze tightly.
yes,
That way you form this little indent.
it makes the fish's body puff up and it makes it look very realistic.
So the 12 Chinese zodiacs are the rat, the ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, goat, monkey, rooster, dog, and pig.
Yes, thank you, Tom.
That's a fun fact.
Next up is to go and we'll make the design on the fish.
Next step, you know what? That we can do that step too. So
Yes.
yeah, you want to take a small spoon about the size of your fish, and you want to make the distinction between the head and the body, and also some scales.
Make sure you go in a circular motion. That way it's not in a straight line. Yes, and as Iris is finishing that up, we'll be going to the next step. These last steps, it can be interchangeable because it is part of the design. We will now be forming the fish's tail. So all you do is take both your fingers, your thumb and your pointer finger, and you just squish it like that.
By this point, your dough may be a little dry depending on how fast you work. If it's dry and it won't come together, you can just you can just take some more water and pinch it together. Why do we do that? Tom, do we have another question?
No, we don't.
You can ask one then answer it yourself.
Any fun facts for us, Tom?
Another fun fact that for you guys is that the next year for the zodiac, next year will be tiger.
Year of the Tiger.
Year of the
Wow, it's a
Tiger.
big year.
Yeah.
I was actually born in the year of the chicken, the hen. I don't know what year were you guys born in?
I was born in the year of the rooster as well.
Oh,
think-
So am I, as we're all
we're the
sophomores.
same age. I forgot. They're always so much poor. I always feel like I'm a kindergartner. So I forget the word the same way.
So if you were born in 2005, that means that you were born in the
Year of the rooster.
And then if you were born in 2006, that means you were born in the year of the monkey.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And so now we are done. This is the finished product. As you can see, it's pretty similar to our display one right here. It's just this one has more color to it. You can always DIY. You could put food coloring in your flour or dough. That way it could turn out similarly to this.
Okay, so we're going to remove this. I hope you guys have no problem with making it. If you do have any questions about the procedure, please ask it now. We can answer it before we move on to the next flower bun. Now can we're going to remove this.
The next one we'll be making is this beautiful flower.
So one of the questions might be that after you make these, how do you get it off the board? So you can take a plate like this, and then you can ask your friend, ask your family, take it slowly, move it to the slowly drag it off, and there you go.
All right.
Now it's off the board, and you can put it in the oven.
All right, Eileen, you're off. Now you're on Fun Fact 3, and Tom, you're on. Okay. So, why don't you show them the product that they will be completing first?
Yes.
Okay, we have a question, which is how long does it take to make buns? As you can see just now, we just took about maybe 40 minutes. Depends on how well you know how to make them. If you're very, very familiar with it, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. But if you need more time, like this is your first time, maybe 40 to 45 minutes.
And usually the cooking time is around 15 to 30 minutes.
And these are edible. These are not just pretty, but they are made out of dough, so they are 100% edible.
And I can eat one if you want. So the next flower bun we'll be making is this flower bun. And as you can see, there's a flower base, and on top there's flower petals. And then these are called red dates or juju beans in Chinese, in English, my bad. And I will be showing you the step-to-step process of how to make it.
Okay, so first step you'll need is to take 3 pieces of 30-gram dough.
Sorry, I'll have to interrupt. We have a question. What is your favorite part of Lunar New Year? The food, the family reunion, or the red envelope? Okay, this is a tricky question because I love all three. I would say if I said the red envelope, that would be a little bit selfish because I do get the money, but definitely the family reunion because this is a one time of the year that everyone in your family gets together, not just your immediate family, but your cousins, your long distance cousins, people from other countries. Let's say I live here, my relatives in China, they'll probably come over and we'll have a huge dinner, like 3 to 5 tables. It is very big celebration, but because of this year, the coronavirus, I'm afraid that will not happen. So it'll probably just be immediate family. But normally it would just be in a restaurant or maybe at home, and it's actually a lot of fun. All right, now back to Tom and Iris.
So as you can see right now, we're weighing out the dough. These will be 30 grams each.
Yes, you want to take 3 pieces, each with 30 grams, like 2 pieces.
You can just start taking it off a piece. If it's too light, add some more. And there you go, perfect 30. Now always remember to put the rest of the dough back in the plastic wrap because they will dry out if you don't.
Yes, so now you got your 3 pieces. You just want to add some water to make sure that there isn't any big cracks between them.
So,
And you want to roll them in small balls because we're going to make them just stripes.
so one of the steps you can just roll the dough into itself slowly by slowly, and then after you realize that you will have a perfect
Oh,
ball.
nice. I will leave you to it then. Okay, while Tom finishes this part, which is rolling your dough into a part. Well, remember 3 pieces, each with 30 grams. Now you take your circle and just press it gently into a cylinder. You want to roll this into a 15 centimeter cylinder.
There you go. Another one.
All right, and some fun facts actually.
Hold on, please.
Hold
Sorry, but I made a slight mistake. When I said 15, it was actually 25. My bad. So make this into 25 centimeter long cylinders. Sorry to interrupt, Eileen.
It's all right. Okay, so fun fact, actually, these buns are originally from northern parts of China, like Guangzhou, and they are from very, very descendants, like the Han Dynasty. And these are not just edible, like I said before, but they're very pretty as well. Usually, if you go to weddings, you just see balloons or posters or pictures, but in Chinese weddings, you may see these as decorations, but you may be shocked that you could just pick them up and keep them as well.
So when you're rolling out these doughs, if you're having a hard time, then you can see that I'm starting off by rolling these with 1 or 2 hands. And then after they get slightly longer, but then as you can see, they're not to the perfect length yet. You can take both of your hands, slowly roll out like a W shape, and then this will help the dough to be longer.
Okay, I got 25 centimeter right here.
And then after you get 1, you don't have to measure it anymore. You can just use this as a reference.
We had a slight technical mishap with our Bluetooth speaker, so enjoy our voices without the music.
There's another one.
Right. You should finish this one. Okay, so I hope you all have your, again, I must repeat, 30 grams of dough rolled into a 25 centimeter cylinder. Now what you want to do is that you want to bring in your red dates or jujube. And you want to link them into a little hoop.
All right, another question is, can we eat it or just make it? This was answered previously, but you can eat them as well. They're both edible and very pretty.
So to help the sticking process, like we said before, you can just dip your finger in the water. And then you press it on here, and then you connect them. So they will actually connect.
Yeah, and if these loops do not connect, take some water again, they're just good glue.
Here's a fun little break. For example, I will take a piece out of this. This is a flower, as you can see, and let's have Tom eat it.
Yeah, okay.
As it is edible. It is bread.
I think we've left it in the air for like.
It might be a little bit dry, but if it comes right out of the oven, this will be very good.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've left this a long time since we had like a whole rehearsal.
This was made about 2 days ago, so it may be a bit hard, but the fresh ones they're making now will definitely be much more smoother and more edible.
Yes, I'm very grateful to Eileen to not force me to eat it instead of talk. Okay, so now that you have your 3 loops, you should be placing them. I'm just getting some tea. Okay, so you have your 3 loops, and you want to put 2 jujubes or red dates in each of these loops, like this, like little eyes.
One question is, how many buns do we eat? This was answered a little bit previously. This is more of a celebration for a lot of people, like weddings or any big parties. So we would usually make a lot of them, depending on the number of people you have, and each person can just eat however many your stomach can handle.
And after you put the red dates and the jujubes inside the loops, make sure you line them up. What you're going to do is that you're going to take these 2 chopsticks and you're going to push in the middle like this. You're going to push and squeeze it tight in the middle so that it connects. It's
Also, if you want to make sure that they connect, you can press down in the middle.
There's a little breakage along
As
the
Iris
leaves.
fixes the breakage, I'll start making the petals for the dough. I'll start taking the dough.
Okay. So is there no one who has like a technical difficulty with the dough wants to ask how exactly to make them? Because we'll be happy to answer.
So let me just make sure that these are.
So you want to take 3 parts, each with
3 parts, each
20
of
grams.
20 grams, and then you can take your little pin, start rolling them out. So you can start by rolling it like this.
Yes, sorry, Eileen just passing me the dough.
We have a question. What are these colors made from? Actually, great question. These colors are all from representing fruits and vegetables. Like the green could be any type of green. The yellow, like for pumpkin. Purple for maybe purple potatoes. So yes, these colors are all representing vegetables and fruits.
I do believe the purple ones are made from 紫薯, purple yams.
Purple yams, yes. These are all colors representing different cultural foods.
Okay, so now we have our
So because, and then we want these to be the same size. So one of the easy tricks, you can put them together like this, and then you can just.
I have to first justify that these diameters are 12 centimeters.
So, and then preventing them from sticking, you just take some flour on your hand, you put it out, and then you just rub it in. And then you don't need to rub it on all sides because you're not going to be sticking on all sides. You just put this on top of this. And then you put this.
Okay, now that you have all your dough, you're just going to pile them on, and you're going to take the smallest one on top, and you're going to cut it right here and make sure it's kind of uniform.
We have a question of what is inside. So basically, you can kind of customize this. Usually, it would just be all dough inside and out. Although you could put red bean, that is also traditional.
Okay,
Chinese
we're going
food.
to interrupt you for a second. I'm sorry, but the next step is to cut it into 4 equal pieces. So you're just going to take your
So
chopstick.
if you're not sure, you can just press it in with your chopstick to see the cut marks.
Yeah.
You should
Okay. Be
like
careful
that,
with the knife.
and then like that.
All right.
So after this,
So you
you
have-
just separate it.
Yeah, you separate it because you already put the flour, so it shouldn't stick.
And I'll get started on this while Iris can.
Explain what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're gonna take these petals. Hopefully they're equal size, and you're gonna take one petal and another petal, and you're gonna put them together. If you have a bigger one, you should put it on top, and you're going to fold it and pitch it at the bottom so it makes this singular petal. Once again, just put them on. There should be some spaces between them to make sure that there's layers, and you just pinch the very end like this. These are the petals right here.
One question was, can you put chicken? No, you cannot put chicken. This is usually kind of like a dessert. It is not normally, we don't normally put chicken. It's actually normally just flour. So the taste is a little bit bland, but you can always customize it whichever way you want, as it is very colorful and beautiful.
Also, just to emphasize, maybe you can add chicken because you can
You know,
customize
you
however
let
you
us
want.
be creative.
Yeah,
Put some
just
chicken.
creative. You can
As long
put
as it's
cheese.
cooked, you know, it's fine.
And then after you take some water, you rub it on the side of this, and then you start putting it on top. And after you put one, you realize that they do not balance. But our hope will be that they'll balance each other out.
So you want to have a friend for this part. You're just going to start putting the petals in the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to explain this. The flowers should be placed on the seams of the bottom petals. And you're just going to put them in the
After
middle.
these, you take your last red date, can dip some water just to help it stick. And you put it right in the middle. And this will act as a central point, stable point.
I'm just going to adjust the petals a little bit. You don't want them to be going inward like this. You want them to at least be able to see the outside and the petals, just like this.
Although it might not look as pretty right now, after you bake it, all the flour will expand and this will look just like this. And if you want to make it more colorful, you can use one color on the bottom, one color on top, but that's your choice.
Yep. All right. Do we have any more questions?
No, we do not.
All right, great. So thank you guys
So
for
that is
joining
it.
us.
Thank you,
for joining
everyone.
us. Have a happy Lunar New Year.
Yes.
See you next year. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hope you had fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Eileen, Iris, and Tom for showing us how to do this. This is really incredible. I mean, it's truly an art what you're doing. I mean, you're making beautiful things. I'm sure it tastes good. By the way, you know, if you have any left over, you know, the school located at 200 Memorial Place, feel free to bring it to your teachers. Mr. Chang, he'll put his address in the chat. You can send him to his house as well. Thank you. Seriously, it was wonderful having you to be a part of this event. You took a year where we're all remote, and you brought us into your home, and you showed us this wonderful tradition, and you guys are really so good at it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.